Hey, my name is Nathaniel Rose, and this is my final for Relationships and Ethics in Ministry. A little bit about myself. I'm currently on staff at a church in Chattanooga, Tennessee, called C4 Church, and I've been here for about a year, and my pastor has led me through this internship, which culminates with me accomplishing Pathways and getting credentialed. And so there are 3 sections in this course that I really want to focus in on, and these are sections 2, 4, and 5. And so section 2 covers relationship with God and self. And so we're just going to talk about that and what that looks like to accomplish that. Section 4 covers relationship with church and ministry and what an important thing that is to maintain good relationships with the people that you go to church with and that you work with in ministry. And then finally, we're going to get into section 5, which covers relationship with the world and community. And so I'm just going to talk about how we can live our lives to best model after Christ. And so without further ado, we're just going to jump straight into it. So starting off in section 2, we get into relationships with God and self. And so there's a prevalent idea in this generation that God is some faraway person, that you can't really have a relationship with him, when actually it's the direct opposite. So we read in Job 33, 14 through 15, it says, "For God speaks time and again, but a person may not notice it. In a dream, a vision in the night, when deep sleep comes over people as they slumber on their beds." And so the Lord is constantly trying to speak with us. He's constantly trying to form a relationship with us, because the Lord saw us through the scope of eternity and was willing to suffer the most excruciating death, which was on the cross, because how much he loved us, how much he wanted a relationship with us. His death, the veil was torn, and so now we have that open relationship without having to sacrifice animals or someone else to go before the Lord for us. And so the Lord doesn't want us to have this God and servant relationship, but he also wants to have a father and a son and daughter relationship, where we're able to go to the Lord and tell him about our day, the good, the bad, anything and everything, because that's how much the Lord loves us. He wants to hear about it, everything about us. He knows it already, but he still wants to hear it from ourselves. And so as we get closer to the Lord, we also begin to see how beautifully and amazingly the Lord created us to be. We read in Psalms 139, verse 16 and 18, it says, "Your eyes saw me when I was formless. All my days were written in your book and planned before a single one of them began. God, how precious your thoughts are to me, and how vast their sum is." And so I believe the key to learning to love yourself more, to be confident in the person you are, is to grow closer to the Lord, because as you grow closer to the Lord, you will see how beautiful you are, how vast his thoughts are for you. And so any thoughts of inadequacies or shame begins to fall apart in the face of perfect love. And so as we continue, our love for ourselves and the Lord will grow as we go after him. Secondly, we get into section 4, relationships with church and ministry. And so our relationships with one another are such an important thing, especially when we're going to church with them and serving in ministry with them. To be completely blunt, as a follower of Christ, we are not held to the same standard as everyone else in this world. When we have a disagreement with one another, with a brother or sister in the church, the Bible clearly outlines what we should do. We can't just ignore them like we do in this world. "Oh, you said the wrong thing to me on the wrong day. I'm done with you. I'm just going to ignore you for the rest of my life." We cannot do that. We read in Matthew 18, 15 through 17, it says, "If your brother sins against you, go tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have won your brother. But if he won't listen, take 1 or 2 others with you, so that by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, every fact may be established. If he doesn't pay attention to them, tell the church. If he doesn't pay attention even to the church, let him be like a Gentile and a tax collector to you." And so the people we do ministry with should be more than just coworkers to us. We are doing life with them. We are walking out this walk of faith with them. And if we allow disagreements or arguments to get in the way of that, I believe we will lead ourselves to ruin. Yes, sometimes things get really serious, and that's where it says bring more people, bring the church together if it gets to that point. But if it's nothing that serious, we should be able to take care of it. We shouldn't be afraid of conflict. We should resolve it. We should find peace with your brother and your sister. The Lord, when we ask him for forgiveness, he forgives us. And he says he puts it as far as the east is from the west. And we should be able to model Christ in that manner. Yes, you will be wrong. Yes, arguments will happen. Disagreements will occur. But we should always, even when it's hard, display the Lord, showing the love of the Father towards each and every single one of us, so that we may be found faultless in all things and in all ways. Finally, we get into section 5, relationships with the community and the world. And so the Lord calls us to be separate from this world and to not be consumed by all the things that this world has to offer. But that begs the question, how do we have relationships with people outside of the church? And the answer is quite simple, by looking into the life that Jesus led while he was alive. His focus was not on the people, the church people, the people that had already heard and believed, but he focused on those that had yet to believe, who had not heard yet. And so I believe we should strive to be even more compassionate to those outside of the church, those that have yet to hear, those that do not believe because they don't know the truth. We do. And so in everything that we do, we should strive to maintain relationships with them, to show them the love of the Father in everything that we do, to constantly invite them, constantly like, hey, how can I help you? Can I pray for you today? Displaying the Lord in all that we do. Not to judge them or condemn them, because that's honestly the view that a lot of people have of the church people, that we judge you, we condemn you, and that is not what we should be doing. Yes, we may not see eye to eye. You may be living in sin, but that does not mean that it gives me the right to judge you, because we're all sinful human beings. And so, but I believe we have to be careful when we approach this, that our love does not become support, because we are able to love people and not support the choices they are making or have made in the past. But we love them through their mistakes. We love them through their sin. We do not support them in what they do. We should constantly strive to display the love of the Father in all that we do and spread the gospel to the ends of the earth. And so these 3 sections are such sweet sections, because we're able to see not only how to love the Lord, but ourselves and also those around us. And so greatly enjoyed my time in this class, and I'm thankful for this opportunity to be here and learn about this.